Audio Jungle.
Hey guys, so I've had a lot of requests asking me to show how to do a job from start to finish. So we got an apartment here that we're going to do together here. We're going to do this job from start to finish together. Now I'm not going to go through every little step and like every little details. I'm just going to go through like the big steps, and if you need like specifics on like some of the steps, I got other videos that you can check on my channel that will show you how to do like all the specific stuff that you're looking at. So this unit, it just got done for us, and the ceilings here are cement, so yours probably won't be cement, but the walls and the ceilings are done the same way. So we'll do the walls and I'll explain to you how to do the ceilings at the same time, and it's the same exact way. So we'll go step by step, and the first step when we get into a place and when you want to do your place would be to put the pre-fill. And you want to pre-fill the caps. So you don't want to pre-fill this cap, but you do want to pre-fill some of the butt if they're too big, but this is really tight, so you don't have to pre-fill that. If this one was really big, then you would pre-fill it as well, but you don't need to do much pre-filling on the flats. So, but if you find any blisters or any big holes, I'm looking for one right now. Any blisters or big holes around the light boxes, if you see like big holes around the light boxes, you want to pre-fill that. See, this one's kind of gappy a little bit here, so I'm going to want to pre-fill that with some mud. So that's the first step that we go, is we go around, we pre-fill everything that needs pre-filling, and that's usually anything that's a big gap. These are tight. So anything that's a big gap or a big blister in the drywall, like a big broken piece of drywall. So that'd be the first step. So we're gonna go ahead and do that, and then I'm gonna come back. So I went around a little bit, and there really isn't much blisters, but I wanted to show you what a blister looks like. See, it's a big hole in the drywall. So that's a blister. It was broken board. So yeah, we're gonna pre-fill that. Just like that, she's pre-filled. Okay, so we went around and I did all the pre-filling already. I just wanted to show you what a blister was when I was talking about a blister. So we didn't find too much in this apartment that needed fixing. There was a couple cracks here and there that were kind of wide that needed a little fixing. I wanted to also mention that when you're doing your butt joints, you should use taping compound, the yellow stuff. Because it's got glue in it, and it's a stronger hold for like the bigger holes. And make sure you use straight mud right out of the box. You know, don't mix any water in it. You don't want it to be runny. You want it to fill your big holes or your big cracks, and that's what we call pre-fill. So now that the pre-fill is done, we're gonna move on to the next step. And what I like to do, because of the system that I like to do, I like to put the beads on. So what we're gonna go around and put our corner beads on. This is gonna be the next step that we're gonna do. And I like to put the corner beads on before the tape, because I like to do the corner beads and then do the tapes. And by the time I'm done doing the tapes, the corner beads will be dry enough for me to apply my first coat of mud on it, so I can just keep flowing, so I can just keep going. So that's why I like to put the beads on first. So we're going to go ahead and put all our corner beads on. And these ones are round here, these corner beads. Yeah, check out the other videos if you want to know how to do that. And I'll be right back. Alright, so we went around and we put up all our beads. We got all our corner beads on, as you can see, like this one. Or like this one here. Okay. And we also put our corner beads on our bulkheads. And our closet here, which is a wraparound closet, so it's got bead on both sides, because yeah, that's how this one is done, and it goes all the way. It actually goes all the way to the floor. Usually the beads don't touch the floor. You don't want them to touch the floor, but these ones, they're bypass closets, and there's no baseboard at the bottom there, so our bead needs to go all the way to the floor, and same with the mud. But anyways, that's all done. And the next step would be to do these, what we call butt joints. Like this one here, that go up and down. The other ones that go across, we call those flat joints. Okay, because these ones actually have a bevel. There's a bevel here, and they're recessed a little bit, so that when you put your tape in there, it's nice and recessed in, so it gives you a flat finish. But these are called butts because they are the butt ends of the sheet, and they butt together. So those are the ones that we're gonna go and put tapes on first. Those are the first ones that we need to put tapes. That one, that one, that one. And I also like to do all the butts, like that one, and the little ones are above the windows often, like this one. So I'm gonna go around and I'm gonna put all the tapes on all the butts. That is the next step for us in this unit here. So I'm gonna go do that, and then I'll be back. I also wanted to mention that we have cement ceilings here. So we don't have butts and flats on our ceilings. But if you have a ceiling in your unit, like we have a ceiling here, but it doesn't have any butts. It only has a flat. But anyways, if you have butts in your project, you go ahead and do those on the ceiling as well. Okay, now we got all our butts on. All our verticals are on. All the butt joints. Okay. And the next step is to do these flats. These flat joints, the ones with the bevels. So I got one done over here that I can show you. See? And these flats, they run over top the ends of the butts. It's supposed to be like that. Okay. So now we're gonna go around and do all our flat joints. Alright, now all our flats are on. So by now you should have your beads, your flats, and your butts on. Okay? As you can see, we got all the flats, and I'll show you this one here that I wanted to show you. I just wanted to make sure that you guys got your ceilings done too. So your flats and butts on the ceiling should have been done by now. Okay, so now we're going to move on and we're going to do our angles, which are these corners. So these corners are done last for the tapes. Okay, and we got cement ceilings here. It's a little fancy, but we still put tape in our corners. Alright, so that's the next step for us here. And we got fancy tools. We're going to use a bazooka and a roller and flesher. So this will get done real quick, but if you're at home and you're doing it with a knife, I'd recommend doing one room at a time. Don't go too far ahead, you know, don't try to do too much at once because it dries up and you'll have problems. So just do one tape at a time, one angle, and then you move on to the next one, and then you move on, and you know, you just do one at a time. Alright, I'll be back when the angles are done. Alright, so we got all our tapes on now. All our angle tapes are on. Top angle, all the angles, all the butts, all the flats, all the beads. So right now, some people call this first coat. They would say that first coat is done, but I don't call this first coat because we didn't really put any coats on yet. So I just call this tapes and beads. And now we're gonna go ahead and do our first coat. And it really doesn't matter if you start with coating the flat joints or the beads, but I like to start with coating the beads. So we're gonna go around and we're gonna coat all the beads, and then we're gonna do the flat joints. So I'm gonna use the hawk and trowel to coat the beads, and I'm gonna go ahead and do that now, and then I'll be back and I will do the flats after. Okay, so we went ahead and we coated all the beads. All the beads are coated here. Closet is coated. Everything's coated. Just for the beads anyways. So our next step is going to be to coat these flats. There's extra flats in here. The borders, they gave me a little bit of extra work. But anyways, so we're gonna go ahead and I'm gonna run this box on these flats and get that coated. But you're probably gonna use like some sort of knife, like a big broad knife, or maybe even a hockey trowel. But anyways, we're gonna go around and we're gonna coat all of these flats. This is the next step that we're gonna do. Okay. So I'll be right back after these flats are coated. So we went ahead and we ran the box and we got all our flats done. So all the flats are coated now. And we use the box, and it makes nice quick work of it. You probably use like a hockey trowel or a knife. Anyway, so the beads, the box, and the last thing that's left is the butts. So we got our butts coat, and some of them meet into the flats, and that's why we do them last, because they're not recessed in the drywall. So now we're gonna go around, we're gonna do all of those. Okay, that's our next step. And make sure that you hit anywhere that's like maybe not done. Like, see, I have this little spot that wasn't done because of the box. But anything that's a tape now, it should get a coat. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna do all our butts. Alright, so now all our butts are coated. So that's what we just did now. So now we got pretty much everything is coated except for the nails. That's the last thing that we're gonna coat now. So we're gonna go around and we're gonna coat all the nails. I like to do around the windows as well, just in one coat, just to make sure that, because sometimes they're a little far away from the edges and then your casing doesn't quite cover them, so at least you have a one coat done on them. So I like to do that, and make sure you hit ones that are too high sometimes at the bottom, so that your baseboard, like if your baseboard's not going to cover it, you know, then you need to hit those ones as well. So that's our next step. And then once we're done putting on all the nails, we're going to have to let this dry and put on a big fan in here or some heaters. We got heaters. So this is going to need to dry after this. And once we're done drying here, we're going to move on to the next step, which is going to be a rough sand before the next coat. So yeah, go ahead and do all the nails. Alright, so everything's coated now and everything's dry. All our butts and our flats and our beads. Everything's all dried up. So now we're going to go ahead and we're going to rough sand. We're going to rough sand all our stuff before putting another coat. Okay, the only thing that we don't rough sand, that I don't rough sand because, well, there's multiple reasons, but anyways, I don't rough sand the angles right now. We'll do that before we actually finish our angle. So all we do is the flats, the beads, and the butts. That's all that we're going to go ahead and rough sand right now. I use the 100 grit. I like to use some real rough paper. Like really rough, and don't rough sand the wall itself. If there's sluggies, we'll get them later. Don't rough sand them right now with the rough paper, so you'll damage the paper, the drywall. So just rough sand the beads and the flats and the butts. And it doesn't need much sanding, but what we're trying to get rid of is all these and stuff. So just watch the other rough sanding video if you want to see exactly how it's done. But that's what we're going to do now before we go ahead and do our, what I call the second coat. Okay, so now everything has been rough sanded. Butts, flats, and the beads. Those guys. Okay, you don't do the nails, right? So don't rough sand the nails. And we didn't do the angles. I mean, it doesn't matter if you did, but you shouldn't have. But because we'll do them a little bit after. Anyways, now that's all rough sanded, and now we're gonna go ahead and I'm gonna actually run the box, which means I'm gonna do the flats. I'm gonna coat the flats next. This is the next thing that I'm gonna do. So if you're doing that at home, you know, I'd go ahead and just do all the flats now first. All of those guys. Alright, and that's what we're gonna coat now. Perfect. Alright, so we got all the flat joints coated. I run the box, and there's some spots here that are gonna need hawk and trowel work. But we did all the flats, so that was the next step. Alright, so now we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna finish our bead. My partner went ahead and he did the tops yesterday, but anyways, now we're gonna do our beads. So we're gonna coat the bottoms, do our second coat, and this is gonna be the final coats on the bead, so you know, be careful a little bit. There's gonna be some touch-ups after, so don't worry, like if you do mess up a little bit, that's okay, but try to do your best on this coat. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and do all of our beads right now. See, the tops are coated already by my partner. So anyways, yeah, that's the next step. Okay, so we did our second coat on the nails. All our nails are second coated now. And we're going to do the final step on coating before we move on to the sanding. Okay, so well actually we're going to sand a little bit before we do the final step. We're going to go ahead and we're going to sand our angles. So we're going to rough sand just the nastiness that's there. This is not a finished sand, it's just a rough sand. And it's just to get some of the sluggies, I guess, some of the sluggies off. So we're gonna go around and rough sand all the angles. Okay, so that's the next step, rough sanding the angles. Alright, so we went around and we rough sanded all our angles. So they're all sanded now. So it's just the rough sand. So there's still edges, but that's okay because we're gonna coat over top of that. So we just don't want like big chunks in the way. So that when we're doing our angles, there's like big chunks of mud in the way. Oh, we got some holes here we're gonna have to fill. That's because of the cement. I had that problem in other places, but yeah, it's different kind of sealing here. But anyways, the next step here is gonna be to coat our angles. So we got a flusher we're gonna run, but you might want to do the two-side method, the one side at a time kind of method with a knife. Or if you want to go fancy, you spend $10 and buy a goofy knife, which is an adjustable adjustable angle knife to do your angles with. We call it a goofy knife. But anyways, that's what we're gonna do next. Alright, so we finished running the angles. So all the angles are done. Alright, so it's a little harder with these cement slabs because they're uneven and there's gaps and stuff, so it's a little hard to get it real nice. But anyways, so all our angles are done and my partner's going around right now and he's cleaning up 3 ways. And the next thing to do is to let it dry, because this will like complete what we call second coat. And then after that, it's going to be a sanding coat, not a coat, but we're going to sand. We're going to sand, and then we're going to do a light check with our light and go around and check all the spots that need like a little work, a little attention. Alright, so we're going to let this dry till tomorrow, and then we're gonna get sanding. Alright, so it's been about 4 days in here, so it's real dry. I'm sure that everything is real dry. I've been busy doing some texture. So anyways, now we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna sand everything, and we're gonna sand the angles, the nails, the flats, the butts, any of the sluggies that we left because we haven't sanded it yet because we didn't want to sand it with rough paper, so we're going to use like I think the 150 grit. The 150 grit of what I call finish sand. Alright, and we're going to use a light Oh, and this light, I love this light, this LED light. This thing is awesome. I used to use a halogen 500 watt light, and this thing makes just as much light, but it doesn't get hot, which is a really big bonus when you're texturing with your poly everywhere. And you don't have to change the damn bulb. This thing lasts forever. I love this light. Anyways, so yeah, so that's what we're gonna do now. We're gonna sand everything and get all this pole sanded. Only doing the pole sanding, and pole sand your ceilings too. I like to use the 100 grit usually on the ceilings, but this is cement ceiling, so definitely we're gonna use the 100 grit to just rough this down a little bit. And yeah, and then after that we're gonna do some light checking. See you after that. Alright, all the sanding is done. All the pole sanding is done. All the flats and angles and butts and ceiling have been done. And now we're gonna go around, we're gonna do some light checking. So we're gonna use our trouble light and a sponge and a pencil and mark all the areas that need work. And we're also gonna sand all the mud off the bead. Alright, so that's the next step, light checking. Alright, so all the touch-ups are sanded now. As you can see, they're all sanded well. Alright, so all our touch-ups are sanded. So everything is sanded now. And it's ready for primer, which you can hear the painter working away already. He's priming. And then first coat of paint. And then we're going to be texturing. So that's it for the taping end of it. Hope this helped you a little bit.